I'm Christy Blanche, and welcome to Addiction. So far in this module, we have learned about different types of addiction. We have seen how addiction is something that does not have simple solutions. Drug addiction was recently in the news when the beloved actor Philip Seymour Hoffman died from an overdose after being 28 years clean. Addiction is something real, and it comes in many packages, whether it's drugs, alcohol, food, sex, internet, the list goes on and on. I want to talk a little bit about internet addiction, something that is controversial, yet it may soon be included as an actual mental health disorder. Internet addiction used to be called internet use disorder, and like other addictions, there's a preoccupation with something, in this case the internet or internet gaming, that has withdrawal symptoms, includes loss of other interests, and mood swings. There is a demonstrable change between cells in the brain of someone with internet addiction, some which are similar to what happens in those addicted to drugs. The average person spends about 60 hours a month online, or a straight 30 days a year. Social networking takes about 22% of that time. Brazil and Spain are leading in the social network usage. Time is spent playing games, social networking, blogging, gambling, watching porn, surfing sites, texting, chatting, shopping, and more. Losing your job and relationships and the connection with the real world is indicative of internet addiction. In comics, this is addressed wonderfully by Devin Grayson in the miniseries User. In the book, Meg's mom leaves her dad, and her sister. And although she's a grown woman with a job, she has issues and is very unhappy. Her sister is being molested by her dad's friend, her dad pays no attention to her, and she feels utterly alone. Meg loses herself in online gaming, where she creates a knight in shining armor who does not get ignored. Did I mention she created the knight as a he, Sir Guillaume de la Cour? She is quickly invited to be part of a group and establishes herself as a gallant knight and an excellent fighter. She loves it. She feels part of something, and better yet, someone is paying attention to her. I asked Devin about how she came up with the idea for this story and if she had ever been addicted to the internet.
It is, my joke about User is that the online stuff, the fake stuff, is totally true. The real life stuff that frames it is the made up stuff. But I did find this community online, and this was before graphics and video games. Or, I mean, there were video games with graphics, but I wasn't into them yet. And this was all text-based. So the better writer you were, the more you could stand out. And really, so, the good writers were just at the forefront of this, and they ruled, and I believe it was literally a chat room in AOL called the Red Dragon Inn. And I kind of wandered in, made up an identity. You change your online profile to reflect that identity. And it just turned into this magical summer that completely captivated me. And the story in User isn't really mine. It's all of ours because you're doing that round robin storytelling. So the fake stuff really happened. Yeah. And unlike Meg, I didn't actually get fired. The protagonist in User gets let off, but I absolutely should have been. And honestly, I think it's because I have diabetes and I could use that as the health excuse. I'm just really having a hard time. So I got a little more time than I should have. But there were, I think like there was a 3-week period where I was just never there for a whole day. I was in this tiny little studio apartment and I would run home. My computer was in the kitchen. I would log on and enter this other world. And I remember distinctly once all of a sudden hearing this strange noise behind me, and I realized it was the birds. And I'd literally been up all night, glued to this set with no sense of the time going on around me. And I was kind of all right with that. Then I was tired. I wanted to sleep, and I was annoyed when people were calling to check up on me and make sure I was all right. And I just wanted to be left alone and go back into that world. And part of what was so addictive about it was that other people were doing the same thing. And so no matter how much you used it, there were people that seemed to be on more than you. And for the life of me, I have no idea how they managed to spend that much time. But there are people that appeared to live online. So anytime you went in, you were greeted warmly by these quickly intimate friends.
Since Devin experienced this issue, I asked how she got over this addiction and if writing it was therapeutic.
Yeah, a little bit. It was really scary to show it to my parents because I knew they were going to lean a little too heavily on the real world part being real. And it was a very negative portrayal of the father, for instance, and my dad's not like that. But I knew my mom would recognize the tension between me and my siblings. And But yeah, it felt really good to share the story. And I was in touch with many of the people that had been part of that gaming experience. So being able to show it to them and have that little summary immortalized was really exciting. And it did feel, by the time I was writing it, I was on the other side of that addiction. And yeah, from the other side of it, there was no bad side. I just remember it so fondly and it was so wonderful. And I know in it, I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't going to work, but none of that really mattered at the time. I don't have a very addictive personality. And if someone points out to me that something's interfering with my life, my dad's a sociologist and my mom's a therapist. I kind of know that lingo and I'm pretty quick to go, okay, I better step back. In this case, some of it was just acute loneliness. And so, a developing relationship, a switch at work. Honestly, actually, I'm thinking about it. You know what saved me? Batman. Batman came and took me away from all of it. And I literally left that job to move to New York to start writing Catwoman, which was my first series for DC. So I don't think everybody can depend on that, but I was able to make some pretty major changes in my life, actually, that made the life itself more exciting again. I still play online all the time though. And I love the ability to put on that other skin and slip into those worlds and to present yourself as you feel you really are. And nobody in an online environment questions that.
Some people claim that internet addiction or being addicted to gaming isn't a real addiction. Since she went through this addiction, I asked Devin what she would say to others who say that this type of addiction isn't real.
I I think you can argue about, the definition of addiction, and you can talk about, is it a subset of something else? Like I read that maybe it's a subset of depression or of obsessive compulsive disorder. But for me, it really comes down to the addiction criteria of how it's affecting your life. And if it's interrupting your social flow, your workflow, your ability to physically take care of yourself, that's an addiction. Your brain is responding in a way that is telling your body you don't need these really basic things that if you're thinking, I could lose my job and that wouldn't be a big deal, that's a warning sign. That's a flag. And yeah, especially by the time you're not eating and not sleeping and, you're getting something from it that you're not getting anywhere else. And I guess the origin of that isn't really as important as the effects, and the effects are addictive effects.
Think about if the use of the internet affects your life negatively. Do you think you could stop using the internet for a weekend, a week, a month? Discuss this on the discussion board post, Can I Quit You? That's it for now. I have to get back online. Just kidding, I'm not addicted. I'll see you on the discussion boards though. Bye-bye.